Hi, Foggy here. Welcome back and I hope you enjoy. Have fun!
Accidental Time Travel and the Mayhem That Comes With It, Chapter 4. Izuku stares at his uncle, trying to figure out if he's being played or not. Izuku started hesitantly. Is that a joke? Nope, I'm legit haunted, Uncle Miku grinned brightly. I make EMT readers and spirit boxes go absolutely fucking nuts. Huh, was Izuku's only reply, as he slowly began to realize his uncle was being serious. My ghost showed up as I unlocked my party tricks, and all 7 of them are always around doing something, Uncle Miku explained happily. If I'm going to be around you and Inko even semi-frequently, it's best you're aware of them up front, because I can and will interact with them regardless of who's present. They're basically family to me. You showed up with your party tricks. Izuku took special note of that detail and hyper-focus. With each of your tricks being quirk-like, and it's so powerful, and with one trick being an energy stockpiler that has enough power in it to change the air pressure just by rubbing your fingers together slightly at not even a full %, especially when it clearly has a frequency given the electricity. It's quite possible the pure energy and power of your quirk resonated with these particular spirits, essentially binding them to your quirk via your quirk's energy fields. With how quirks are so varied in ability and power, it's not the most outlandish thing I've discovered a quirk is capable of. The real question is, why these spirits? There has to be a common denominator. Maybe they had similar abilities in life, so they resonated with each trick? It's a start, but it can't be all there is to it. What other factor? Uncle Miku interrupted his thought process with a delighted laugh. I knew you seemed smart, kid! Izuku jumped. I'm sorry, I didn't mean... Don't apologize, kid. There's nothing wrong with being smart. Uncle Miku cut him off before he could spiral. Analysis like that is a goddamn talent. Really? Izuku asked hesitantly. You don't think it's creepy? Creepy? Kid, analysts are some of the most well-paid and highly sought-after people in the heroics industry. A good analysis can be the difference between a successful mission and a slaughterfest. All kinds of people would kill for skills like yours, Uncle Miku enthused. Even better to have that skill as a hero so it can be used real time on the job. It'd make you prime for collaborations and leading missions too, because you can plan and adapt that plan around enemies' weaknesses. As far as I'm concerned, a sharp mind holds more value than any quirk ever could. That brain of yours is worth its weight in gold, kid. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Oh god, Izuku might just cry. That's the nicest thing anyone has ever said about his analysis, in basically ever. Thank you, Uncle Miku, Izuku replied wetly, totally not about to cry. Of course, kid, Uncle Miku grinned. I'd be a hypocrite to say otherwise when I use my brain more than my quirk anyway. It's so fun to use analysis to turn villains' quirk back on themselves. There's no such thing as cheap shots when lives are on the line, so there's no reason not to watch villains squirm. You're a little bit unhinged, aren't you? Izuku said as he eyed the slightly manic look on Uncle Miku's face, not at all feeling the kind of concern that kind of look should probably cause. Only a little bit? Uncle Miku asked. Then my attempts to tone it down are successful. This is toning it down? Izuku wondered aloud, because as cool as his uncle is, he's also pretty intense just on a base level. Yep, Uncle Miku's green eyes practically glowed as they sparked with something wild Izuku couldn't name. I have enough tact left to know better than to go full tilt with new people, but sometimes it's rather hard for me to figure out what levels qualify as too much. My best friend used to help me with that, but we're kind of separated now. Anyway, I can be a lot, so while I won't mask who I am, if I'm leaning too far over the intensity line, tell me and I can usually rein it in to various degrees of success. Okay, Izuku nodded, then looked down. I'm sorry you lost your friend. It's alright. Well, okay, it's not alright. And I miss him a lot already, but I can't do much about it right now, Uncle Miku rambled. It's not logical to dwell on events that can't be changed, so I just have to make the best of it. Or, well, at the very least, I'll make sure it's entertaining. Boys, wash up, dinner's almost ready, Inko called, effectively ending their private conversation. Be right there, Inko, Uncle Miku called back, then grinned at Izuku. Come on, let's not keep your mom waiting. Living next door to his long-lost uncle was, well, it was a trip if Izuku's being honest. For the next nearly 2 weeks, Izuku was able to learn what he could of his uncle's somewhat unpredictable schedule, as well as figure out unhinged, maybe too light of a descriptor at times. He only had to walk in on Uncle Miku making plans with his ghost to infest the Hero Commission building with crickets, and maybe a few snakes, map of the HPSC building plastered on a conspiracy board and everything, one time to figure that last bit out. As it stands, Izuku thinks the man might be just a bit insane. Not that he'd ever admit that to anyone. He's especially going to keep his opinions to himself around his mom, as she's still flying high from even finding her brother, let alone having him live so close and be interested in being an active part of their family. He can't ruin that for her, and even if his uncle is weird, it's not weird in a bad or creepy way. He's more weird in a way that makes something in Izuku ache with envy. He's weird like Izuku would be if he lacked reservations, if he could drop his masks and just not care what other people's reactions would be. Izuku could never, though. Never just be like that. Never just not care if people thought he was crazy or weird. Even if he could, he's quirkless, so no one would let him. Uncle Miku hasn't actually asked about his quirk status yet, of course, but surely he knows by now. Mom would have told him by now. But Izuku doesn't actually know for sure because Uncle Miku doesn't treat him any different or even act like it matters. Izuku could ask about it, he supposes, but Uncle Miku is either not home yet or dead asleep in the mornings, and by the time Izuku gets home from school, he's not in the mood to chance disappointment. The weekends are another chance, but he also doesn't want to ruin a whole weekend either. That'd just bring everyone down. Plus, he very quickly come to value being able to go next door to do analysis or play video games or just hang out with his uncle whenever they're both home, and doesn't want to ruin it. The family dinners, which just happen whenever Uncle Miku happens to be home at the same time they have dinner, are always far too energetic for Izuku to bring up the subject as well. Uncle Miku just fills every room he's in with energy, in that specific kind of unhinged way of his. It's a very sink or swim kind of energy, too. Either you can handle Uncle Miku, or you will be overwhelmed. Somehow, both him and his mom easily managed to swim, not sink. Who knew his mom was so feral under the right influences? Outside of their apartments, Izuku can't say he's seen his uncle or even heard of his uncle being spotted just around. Sure, Izuku knows he's an underground hero, so of course Uncle Miku is able to be sneaky and stealthy and all that, but he's so vibrant and weird when he's not doing hero stuff, Izuku is sure someone would have mentioned him. Maybe they wouldn't have said his name or anything, but surely the weird guy in the eye-straining neon-colored optical illusion button-up shirts and equally eye-catching array of shorts and pants would have caused some whispers. Seriously, if anyone ever comments on Izuku's ironic word t-shirts again, he's just gonna point them at Uncle Miku's closet and tell them to stop complaining because it could be so much worse. Yet, despite his uncle's outrageous style and generally unhinged energies, there's been no whispers and Izuku's been listening. Being quirkless means he's generally ignored, and being bullied has made him quite good at blending into crowds and getting around unnoticed, so he's become quite good at eavesdropping. Despite his best efforts, he's still heard nothing of his uncle from anyone. No rumors, no general opinions, not even complaints. The efficiency of it is frankly a bit terrifying if Izuku's honest. He's not even sure he wants to know how his uncle does it. Either way, he's not breaking whatever gag order is out, and it's not like anyone would believe that a quirkless Deku like him has a pro hero as an uncle anyway. Still, it's at times like these, as he sits in his middle school classroom as all his classmates jeer and laugh at him because his teacher told them all he wants to go to UA, that he wishes they'd believe him if he told them about his Uncle Miku. Maybe they'd think twice before bullying the nephew of a pro hero, or at least maybe Kacchan would think twice. Out of everyone, Kacchan knows better than to ruin his chance at being a hero by fucking with the family of the wrong people in power, and Izuku is pretty sure his Uncle Miku is friends with Nezu, or at least he thinks they're friends, given the way they make plots over the phone like a pair of gossiping schoolgirls. It's honestly kind of exhilarating, or terrifying to witness. Izuku's totally not jealous, shut up. Kachan's glaring at him now, thanks to the teacher outing him like that. The bell's gonna ring at the end of this lesson to mark the end of school, which is both a blessing and a curse. Sure, it'll make the worthless teacher shut up about their high schools, aka subtly mock Izuku's choices in front of everyone, but Kachan's grinding his teeth hard enough that Izuku just knows he's going to be cornered and exploded the moment the teacher's out of the room. If he just keeps writing his notes, maybe everyone will ignore him for the remainder of class, and he can... Bang! Everyone in the room froze as the classroom door slammed open with the kind of unhinged energy only Izuku was accustomed to. Oh boy, maybe he should hesitate before making wishes or tempting the universe next time. His head still snapped over to the doorway like everyone else's did, though unlike the rest, he already knew who was standing there. He only knows one person who can radiate that kind of energy, and yep, there was Uncle Miku in a glaringly highlighter orange button-up with a neon Fred MC Escher-esque looping design that made Izuku feel like he'd go cross-eyed if he looked at it too long, paired with hot pink zebra-striped shorts. Before he could stop himself, he stood up, knocking his chair back just enough to make noise, and words were leaving his mouth into the silence of the room before he could stop. Uncle Miku! The teacher glared at Izuku. Midoriya, stop interrupting class. And what exactly is my nephew interrupting? Oh, Uncle Miku's tone was dangerous. From what I heard from the other side of the door, you were just about to not bother to give your students the career assessments you were supposed to because they all, what, want to be heroes? That's stupid. And what would you know about any of this? Are you a teacher? The teacher responds defensively. Not yet, but I have a teaching license, and I can tell I'm wearing Nezu down on the subject. Also, I'm a pro hero, so I do know a thing or two about that, Uncle Miku responded absently, way too calm for Izuku's comfort. But I'm here to pick up my nephew, not to argue with incompetent people. Ha! Deku isn't related to a pro hero! Kachan exploded, thankfully only verbally, because Izuku honestly isn't sure what his uncle would do if Kachan used his quirk. He doesn't even have some shitty uncle! And what makes you an expert on some random classmate's family tree? Uncle Miku's voice was measured, which terrified Izuku. You're a punk-ass middle schooler that hasn't come over or even been brought up once in the 2 weeks I've been here, so why would you know anything about me? Your certainty over something you know nothing about makes you sound self-important and delusional. Grow up, kid. Kachan looked like he might start making tea kettle noises out of excessive rage, so Izuku decided to quickly pack up so he could push his uncle out the door before a fight could start. Quirkless Deku would never be won by a pro hero, Kachan snapped, and oh boy, this was bad. Kid, did you miss the part where I'm friends with Nezu? One more word or action against Izuku, and I'll be sure to report every single action you take and word you say directly to Mr. Principal himself, Uncle Miku said, as calm as the moment before the storm breaks, and oh boy, does Izuku hate when Uncle Miku is calm. If you don't want to destroy your own future, I'd suggest you get your act together and maybe realize quirks aren't a measure of worth. I assure you, I am not the kind of person you want to cross. Izuku finally shoved the last of the things in his bag and quickly made his way to the front, stopping next to his uncle anxiously. Don't bother with them, Uncle Miku. Let's just go, please. Uncle Miku immediately brightened, unhinged energy bursting back through the thick and threatening calm, much to Izuku's immediate relief, and ruffled Izuku's hair affectionately. Okay. Oh, did I tell you about that time I humiliated a Yakuza so bad he quit and became a nomadic sheep herder? You didn't, Izuku exclaimed excitedly, following his uncle out the door. I did, Uncle Miku exclaimed right back, full of wild energy again and no longer in the danger zone that is him being perfectly calm. It was hilarious. See, once the two had left the room, the teacher and the rest of the class collectively shuddered. That man was terrifying. The teacher cleared his throat to save face, but was clearly spooked into playing it safe. Bakugo, sit down and shut up. Everyone get out a pencil. We're doing career assessments. Izuku's empty desk was pointedly ignored by everyone the rest of the school day for their own mental health.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed. I record all of these live on my Discord. See you next week. Bye.